Hello, hi everyone. So very good afternoon. So I'm Rajagopal. So glad to invite you all you guys in this particular session. So I'm working as an engineering head in that contest where I'm just taking care of our VPlayed OTT streaming product. By recently we have released our 2.0 version where we have transformed into our microservices scalable architecture across all our API services. And coming to our VPlayed, it's already been packaged with many features like VOD, live streaming, SWOT, DWOT, offline download, etc. In addition to that, we have planned to have many features in our 2022 roadmap. So I believe it's going to add a few more colors to our product. Well, so let's just dive into our today's session called how transport is going to critical for our OTT streaming. Fine, yeah. So when coming to that, this particular session, so the agenda is it's all about the brief introduction about what is the encoding and what is the transcoding, and how that the transcoding it is going to be play as an integral part of our video streaming. And apart from that, in order to ensure about that the adaptive bit streaming, how the transcode is going to support that particular activity. And then we are going to see about the overall the workflow and the transition stages of that OTT transcoding. In addition to that, what are all the tools and what are the services that it is going to support the overall transcoding that we are going to see. And the last we are going to see about our CONTUS capabilities. Coming to a transcoding. Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, team. So basically, when coming to encoding, so the encoding is nothing but it's a process of compression of that the audio and the video inputs. So basically, the encoding it is the in the process it can be achieved by means of the codec format. So when coming to a codec, actually in that video the encoding encryptions it is having different types like H.264, H.265, VP9, and the AB1. So basically, it is nothing but here we have been compressing the video in order to enhance that overall the size of the particular video. So in order to have the uninterrupted the video streaming, so that encoding plays a vital role. So when coming to that particular transcoding, so many of them have believed something like that encoding, the transcoding is a process of encoding. So it's not like that. So actually the transcoding it's the one it is going to convert one form of encoded video into the another format. So basically the converted the transcoding it will have a mainstream elements of that video attributes. It's nothing but it is going to affect that overall the file format and the resolution and the frame rate and the bit rates of the audios and videos. So yeah, so in the transcoding basically this is something it is been in order to make that the streaming either it's a VOD streaming or it's a live streaming, it is aim in order to transcode and make the videos to be compatible so that it can be accessible via the multiple devices by multiple users. Yeah. So when coming to that, the second the topic which is called why the transcoding is something integral part of the video streaming. So before getting into this topic, I just want to give some kind of that information about that how about the demand on that VOD. So basically, the demand for videos is on the rise. Either it is in a VOD or it's in live streaming. Not only on the entertainment side, there is a promising growth on the professional side, educational, and the corporate, and the manufacturing side, and the communities, and so on. So that there is a demand for streaming video. It has been exponentially increased. So by the way, it is going to give a demand for the OTT streaming. So in case if you are going to make the OTT streaming as a successful, it's all about that overall end user experience. When coming to the end user experience, that there are a few challenges are there. The challenges nothing but the first one it will be a player and the platform compatibility. So in case if you're going to stream the video, how that video it is going to be compatible across all the devices which are available, say right from TV or a smart, the smart devices like mobile phones and that the desktop laptops, and in turn it is associated with the players. So what are the players it is being supported? That is a one factor. Second factor it's all about the resolution. So when coming to the viewer experience, so this is something that we are having a very broad range as of now. So it would start from mobile device and it ends up with a very large screen that smart TV here. So in addition to that, there is another challenge which is something that bandwidth consumption. When coming to a bandwidth consumption, say in case if you are going to post or upload a particular videos, that you can have a different people of and in terms of the target audience. Say one user can have a device and it can access it with a 2 Mbps. In the right extreme, you can have a one more person who is having a smart UHD TV along with an 100 Mbps. So at this point, we have to cater across all the audience. So like this, in case if you are going for that secure distribution, this is something it is an important when coming to the VOD distributor. So as a VOD distributor, in case if I'm going to upload and transmitting my video, obviously I just want to take care of overall my secured how far that I can able to secure the video. So these are the main challenges when coming to that the OTT streaming. So all these things it can be achieved by means of the transcoding. So majorly the two things, one is that the player compatibility and the device resolution. So in order to achieve this, there is the feature which is called as the adaptive bitrate. So the adaptive bitrate, which is nothing but it is a kind of a technique. It's a kind of a streaming technique, and it is operated over the HTTP protocols. So when coming to a HTTP protocol, it's nothing but the idea is behind is nothing but, so here the particular video, it has been converted into multiple streams. Say for example, if you are having a kind of a that video, it is in a 4K video, and it can be converted into a stream, like right from it would start with a 240p and 360 720p, and you can go with a 2K or 4K or whatever it is. So likely in order to get it around all these videos, it can be accessible via the different bandwidth and the different bitrate. So if you have a close look at here, so the particular the adaptive bitrate that it is going to transform the videos, so that those videos it will be available in the different ranges. So it's all about the playback experience when coming to the player side. So according to that internet bandwidth, the video format started to download and it started to play. Thereby it will just give that very uninterrupted video streaming when coming to that player user experience. So in order to achieve it, how we are going to achieve it? So we have told that adaptive bitrate, it's going to play a very important role when coming to that the viewership, uninterrupted viewership. So in that case, that there are two main components of the transcoding, is that the trans rating and the transacing. The trans rating is nothing but here we are going to deal with a bit rate. So in order to win a bit rate, here you can able to transize, you can able to scale down the bit rates here. So by the way, in case if you are having that high demand video, and obviously you could able to trans down into that defined defined or else a desired bandwidth. Say it is a 600 MB kbps, or else at 128 mbps, or else at 6 mbps, you could able to set it up. Likewise, you can also reducing this the size of the video. When coming to the sizing of the video, once it is been reduced, that particular video it can be allowed for an accessible right from a 240 to 1020 or 2K or 4K or 8K. So these things it can be achievable via transcoding. Okay. Yeah. So when coming to that ABR protocol, which is as I told already, that ABR it can be worked over the HTTP protocols. When coming to the HTTP protocol, that there are many streaming solutions are available, but however the HLS streaming, which plays a very vital role in coming to that overall streaming solutions. Say if you look at this, the particular design, you could able to see that HLS plays a major role when coming to the streaming wise. So here we are going to see how about we are going to create the HLS streaming from that, by using the transcoding. So apart from the here, we are having MPEG dash and the SRT and the CMAF, though these are also a kind of that HTTP based protocols, but still HLS plays a vital role. It's all about how about the compatibility of this particular video across the devices and as well as the player. So that is the main the main part of this HLS here. Yeah, fine. So when this is about the transcoding workflow. So here we have mentioned about that. We have seen so far about that adaptive bitrate and how about what are the main components of the transcoding. When coming to the transcoding, how we are going to do the transcoding, that it is a story. So when coming to a transcoding, it's not a single job or it's not a single package or a tool. It's going to make it happen. Sure, it is a process. It is having a bundle of process. It is having a different tools and the techniques in order to make it happen. So when coming to that, the transcoding workflow, it would start with an encoding content. So when coming to that, ingestion, so that there will be a source of video. Either it is an either it is a live streaming or it's in a watch streaming. When it is a live streaming, you could able to get the inputs from directly from the video camera as well as from the broadcasting side. We could able to get those things. So once if the particular video it is been getting into that input, so it has to be encoded within a suitable file format. Either it has to be MP4 or MOV or FLV. So sure that it has been converted to a certain encoded format. Once it's been done, that particular video it will be getting into a transcoding pipeline. So when coming to that the transcoding, it's not a kind of a single job as you mentioned already. So here we have to create a pipeline. So then that pipeline, it is kind of a job. In that job we have to intersect and we have to mention what are the kind of inputs we are going to give and what is the desired output and what's the type of codec that you just want to get it as an output. And of course, in addition to that, what are the attributes that are going to add it for a video. Say for instance, you can have a multilingual, you can add that particular audio file, and if it is something on that SRT, you can just add that SRT in order to make that the captioning to be worked out. So those things that you could be able to add it as a pipeline. So all this pipeline, once it's been added, then it will go for a transcoding. Transcoding, yeah. So when coming to the transcoding, here you can also mention about that. In addition, that there are few segments are there. I mean, it's that you could able to set the duration. So as I mentioned already, when coming to that HLS streaming, here the particular video it will be converted into sizable chunks. Each and every chunk it will acting as a container. That container it will have a audio codec, it will have a video codec, and it will have a meta information about the particular video. And in addition to that, it will also have a capturing files or whatever it is. So by the way, the particular chunk it is having a potential to play for a 3 to 10 seconds. So those things that you could able to set up there as one of the options in that particular job. So in addition to that, if you want to add anything according to that, our recommend we could able to add it into that the particular job pipeline. Once it's been added, then it will go for a transcoding process. When coming to a transcoding process, so here the transcoding it has been separated with an inbuilt that image processing algorithms. That image processing algorithm it will convert the uploaded video into a transcoding segment according to the specific presets what it has been there. Say as we mentioned here, we are having different resolution presets like 240, 720, 1080, 2K or whatever it is. So based upon that the resolution and based upon that the type of the video format, so the transcode is started to transcode according to a specific segment. In addition to that, after that fragmentations, you can add a few more layers. So we have just seen about the core part. After that core part, you can add a multiple layer according to that the business requirement. Say in coming to the security, which starts from the right from the either it is in a live or either it is in a watch streaming. So we could able to inject that the key. When coming to the key, so basically the AES encryption, which is something available, you could able to add the key file into the transcoding process. In another way, if you are having the DRM key, obviously you could able to inject the DRM key as one of that layer in that security process. So once it's been done, then finally it will be coming as a kind of a bundle of package. The bundle of package is nothing but it is a package and it will have that audio file, video file converted as secured. The streams along with the metadata details, everything will be available as a bundle of package. That bundle of package we people call it as a manifest file. That manifest file it will have the row of informations about what all that segments are there, what all that the bandwidths are there, what are the presets, and how about that whether the particular codec has been encrypted and what's the type of codec. Everything it will be bundled and it will be available as an ABR package. So here you could able to see that the diagram, you could able to relate it easily. So as I mentioned, so that in the inputs it would start from the live and from the as well as from the VOD streaming and we're just getting into that ingestion stage. In that ingestion, if it is an file upload, obviously it has to go for a multi-part upload, and after that it has to go for a file-based encoding. Once it's been done, then it will go for a transcoding. So the transcoding, the algorithms and the libraries, what it has been already there. So it is going to convert according to the desired presets based upon the job, right? So then after that it will go for a fragmentation. In that fragmentation, we could able to see what are the different the fragments which are available. The different presets, the different resolutions which are available for our N video format. In addition to that, the encryption has been done, and on the whole, if it is a live, we could be able to directly deliver that streaming through on a CDN. Wherein if it is a word streaming, obviously we could able to save it in that the storage bucket. From the storage bucket, we could have just go into another approach in order to broadcast the video, right? So when coming to that here, these are, I mean, at the bottom you could able to see that important informations. See, when coming to that, the codec, I mean, it should be either the 264 or 265, especially when coming to HLS streaming, it would support both H.264 and H.265. And here I just want to give some brief information about that codecs here. The codec, as I mentioned, so this is something it is going to play a vital role in the bit rate and as well as in the overall the sizing part. In addition to that, it is also played in terms of the compatibility, right? So here we could able to set up all those things in this transcoding engine, and once the transcoded, you could able to see that file. So as since we have been dealing with that HLS streaming, so the HLS streaming, the output would be in a transcoded streaming file. It is called as a TS file. This TS file, it is a kind of a small multimedia content. That content, as I mentioned, it will wrapped up with a kind of a components like audio codec, video codec, and it is capable in order to play a certain duration of the video. So this particular TS file, likely it will refer the indexing file. So see here we have just seen about the 1440. If it's a 1440, in the 1440 you could be able to see that created index file. In that index file, it will have a different bandwidth. Based upon the bandwidth, the TS file started to refer that particular index file, right? So this is the kind of the sample output. This is how the kind of output that we will be getting it from after the transcoding. Say if you look at this particular M3, which is something denotes that the HLS playlist, and here the 3, which something denotes a version, and here we are having the AS28. It's nothing but here we have been adding that key info file, I mean the encryption key. So that's what it is mentioning, that AS128, wherein if it is a DRM, it will just mention that specific DRM file name here. And here we have been mentioning that URI. URI, it's something but once if you have downloaded the key in the player, and it has to very first the activity, it has to refer that particular the domain in order to validate the particular key is being valid or not. So based on that, it started to download the further TS files to play it for a movie. So here this bandwidth, this is in a high range and the low range bandwidth. Based upon the bandwidth, the player, I mean, it is having a kind of intelligence in order to refer this bandwidth. Based on it, started to download it, right? So when coming to the codecs ABC, this is something in for H.264, so that it is an the particular codec ABC, it is supporting the MP4 segment here, and of course the frame rate and the bit rate. So this frame rate, basically when coming to that H.264, it would support from a 20 to 24 up to 30 to 30 frames. So basically the 30 frames per second, which is something, it's a standard one, but it's not something that you want to stick with that. If it is something, if you want to go ahead, yes, of course we could go ahead with 50 or 60 frames per second. It's all about that presets, what it is being designed, and it is being set it up while doing the encoding process. So the final one here, you could be able to see a kind of a HMAC algorithm generated key. That this generated key, it is a short-lived key. Here you could be able to see the parameter which is called as a expire. This is mean for an expiry. So it will have a limited time frame. Up to that, this particular the short-lived token, it will be valid. After that, you can't be able to play it. So this way, you could be able to secure while coming to that over if it is something playing over the internet, especially with AS128 key. Okay, yeah. So I could just, I mean, before getting into it, I can just show a kind of a, the live demo something here. Yeah. So here you could able to see that this is the manifest file. In that manifest file here, you could able to see the different segments. So this is one of the streaming segment here that it is having that, the bandwidth, it's a range between that 87 to 835734. And likewise here you could able to have a different streaming bandwidth for each and every presets. So this is the kind of a parent file. So once it's been referred, then obviously it will just go for a specific in order to download it. In turn, it will have a kind of a defined the individual the index list. Through that index list, you could be able to get it. So the particular file. So if you look at the response, this response, you could this is something that has been masked due to the factor for that encoding process. So by the way, this is how the player which started to play which started to play the video in the over the player. That HLS streaming. Yeah. Fine. So the next it would be a codec compatibility. So as you mentioned that H.264, which is something it has been widely accepted encoding format on the planet. So it has been supported with either it is an outdated, the old device or else a new device. So everything it would support with this particular H.264 format. Say in case if you just want to the transcode a video right from the low resolution to the mid-size resolution, you could opt for this H.264 and it would support for this, and it would support for that like from 240 to 1080. Even you can also go for 2K or 4K. But thing is that if you are going for more than the 2K or 4K, obviously you could have just opt for H.265. That H.265, which is also called as high efficiency video coding. So by the name itself, it would suggest it is an high efficiency. So the thing is that it is a successor of H.264. So by the way, H.264 it will have a kind of a, when coming to that the compression, it's something it is based upon the bit rate, right? So when coming to H.265, if you are going to see a particular video, it is having a kind of a 50 MB of file space. Obviously, if you are doing a same compression with H.265, obviously it will have a size of 30 to 35 MB. So by the way, we are just reducing that duplicated frames and as well as the unwanted thumbnails. So by the way, it is having more efficiency when coming to that large scale video. So by the way, once it has been adding that low size, the shorter size of the video, obviously it will helps in terms of the user experience. So by the way, the people can able to download the low size, the low size video, but still it will give us that much of quality what it is giving by H.264. But that it is having certain disadvantage. It's not about disadvantage, it's all about the limitations. When coming to H.265, the licensing is something it is an important. So still that there isn't some confusions with the license, and as well as in case if you're going for a hardware, how we are that particular hardware, how it is being supported for this particular 265, that it is still and the debatable topic. And apart from that, here we are having a VP9. So in the VP9, which is also it is the similar line characteristics of H.265, and it is something meant for an high definition video format. Right? So the VP9, it is something, it's a product of Google. So by the way, the Google, it would support that, the YouTube channel. If you look at the 4K videos, that it is being encoded with this particular VP9 format. Along with that, they are also going for H.264. So when coming to this platform compatibility, the codec compatibility, here you could able to see what are the hardware support. If it is a hardware support, yes, of course, H.264, 265 VP9 it is supporting, and AV1 still in development, but that AV1, which is the top performer while comparing across all these three video codecs. So by recently on November, the Netflix has just started to encode they started to transcode the video with this particular encoder type AV1, and it is available for a handful of TVs. So the problem is that it's all about how about the compatibility of the end devices here. So yes, of course, when coming to the browser support, it is supporting all these browsers. Of course, the mobile platform as well. When coming to the coding performance, yes, of course, that this particular encoding, it would be very high while comparing with other codecs. Yeah, here I just mentioned about that overall that that royalties, in case we are using that the different encoding formats, based on that we could based on the license we could able to use it in our transcoding engines. The next topic, it's all about the codec performance. When coming to the codec performance, why still that H.264 is a king in the sense, say in case if you are going for the live streaming, or if you just want to do a live transcode, say in case if you just want to meet up with a regular type of audience, obviously this H.264 comes into place. What do you mean by regular type of audience? It's nothing but say the people that they're having a standard devices with a decent amount of bandwidth, sure that H.264 comes into a place. But when coming to that high bandwidth devices, obviously this HEVC or VPNs comes into a picture. But still, when coming to the cross platform, these things, this is something it is having some kind of a limitations while comparing with this H.264. H.264. And one more thing is that when coming to the codec performance, these are the two main categories. One is that the encoding complexity, and another is that encoding quality. So in by name itself, it is a quality, right? The quality in the sense, obviously it would take much time in order to do a kind of the transcoding. Say for example, if you are going to convert for H.264 and that the VP9, the H.264 where you could able to set the presets ladder. I mean that a different ladder in the sense 240p, 460p, you could able to set up the bitrate ladder here. So like this, you can also set the bitrate ladder for a VP9. But thing is that the overall the transcoding, the time, the duration, while comparing with VP9, the H.264, it's almost done half of the time what it is going to taken by a VP9. So when coming to a kind of a conclusion, so the particular format, it's not a cup of tea for every one of us, right? So based upon the requirement, who is the target audience, what is the region, what is the location, based on that you could able to go for it. You say in case if you are going to transmit the live sport event, if you are going to transmit a live event, at this point we can take this kind of a guidelines how we are going to make the things happen in order to meet your target audience. Yeah, so when this is something, this particular site, it is going to talk about how we are going to set up the transcoding. So we have so far we discussed about what is the transcoding flow and how about what are the output and input, everything that we have discussed, and in order to make it happen, how we are going to make it happen, and what is the kind of a tools and what are the things which is something available in the industry in order to make it happen. So here when coming to that, here I just picked up the only, though we are having a much more transcoding engine, when coming to that in the market, I just picked up only the few things here. So first one, it would be an Aws Elemental Transcoding. So hope that you guys have been came across these AWS services. So here that they are been offering as a kind of a bundled package. That end-to-end service that they are giving. Say in case if you are getting into that AWS environment, the AWS ecosystem, you could able to use across all their services. Say for example, if it's a watch streaming, you could go and you can just pull the videos from the S3 bucket, and you can acting as an input. And by the way, you could able to create your own templates. What is the input, what is the output, and what is the kind of that partitioning file and the key file, everything that you could able to set it up as a template. Already the template is there, that you have to fill up those templates. So once it's been done, then they are having a kind of a Elemental Live Transcoder along with few other supported packages like Elemental Media. So all these things that it is bringing together in order to support highly successive transcoding. When coming to a transcoding, one thing we just want to ensure it. Say when coming to that, that the overall performance, this is something it is mean for how many presets that you have been setting up. That is one factor. How many concurrent process, which is something going on the transcoding, and apart from that, how about that the scaling type. So those things it comes into a picture whenever if you are going for a transcoding. But when coming to a elemental transcoding, this is something it has been hard eating enough. So this is something it has been used by. You don't want to go for any double thoughts when coming to that elemental transcoding. It is something a proven model, and it is a proven one, and it has been using by Netflix and as well as many other providers here. And FFmpeg, the FFmpeg, which is a very, it is a very good player when coming to a transcoding. So it is still it is an open source, and through that FFmpeg, that you could able to do a encoding, you could able to do a encryption, you could able to do a kind of a transmuxing. Obviously, you could do whatever it is with an FFmpeg. But only thing is that it has that how far that how far that framework it is being built in order to do all those things. Say when coming to a POC, everyone can come and they can do, and they can pick some libraries and they can able to do it. But when coming to that organized approach, how we are going to use the FFmpeg, sure, it would backed up by the expertise or the very good engineers in order to make it achieve. That it is something important for an FFmpeg. When coming to the Azure Media, yes, of course, this is also in the lines of AWS. So it is something offering a kind of a different packages. Rather, the AWS is a bundle package. Here you could able to see the different packages. You could able to pull those packages in order to achieve it in a Azure Media. So like this, the GCP, the Google Transcoding services also performing similar way. But while comparing with AWS, that there are certain limitations are there in terms of packages, but it's not in the performance or it's not the scalability. So it's all about how about the different bundle. It's going to be a value added to your product. How you could able to use it in order to make a time to market. So these things that it is having a slight difference between the AWS and the GCP. So finally, it would be a kind of a, the VPlayed. So here, as a VPlayed team, that we are having an expertise in that when coming to a transcoding side. So here we are having a group of engineers. The engineers that we have been having very much experience when coming to either it is an on-prem or either it is a hybrid or either it is in something and that the cloud-based solutions, whatever it is that we are having a proficiency in that particular transcoding process, not only the transcoding. So overall the end-to-end process that we people that we have been taking care of for our customers. So here you could able to see what are the highlights of the transcoding solutions, which is something distributing by contesting. So here you could able to supporting with an latest product like VP9 or H.265 and personalized transcode pipeline. As I told, each and every people don't have a specific, we will have a difference in the requirement. So that particular transcoding pipeline, it will be optimized or it will be changed according to the requirement. So likewise, based upon the the end user devices, it's all about supporting, right? So our VPlayed as of now, which is something supporting that the mobile devices like iOS, Android, with the right from the iOS 6 to the latest version. Likewise, this is same thing for an Android. And as well as we are also supporting that the TV devices like Samsung, LG, Android Core, Android TV, LG TV, and everything. So likewise, that there is another concept called per title encoding. Per title encoding is nothing but, say, if you are setting up certain presets, that presets it won't be work out for across all the movies. I can give you that much more that clarity here. Say in case if you're having any slow motion movie, obviously it would demand some kind of a slow motion even if you have transcoded. So at this point, the transcoding is a kind of a sizable size down, right? So you are going to translate it. At this point, we have to go and we have to set up the personalized presets for this type of things. So yes, of course, it's all based upon the content. We have to make it dynamically that particular presets. Thereby it is going to work out for a particular videos. Whatever it be the source of videos. So by the way, we are also supporting that overall the popular formats and the codecs. It's of course, we have been having a very much experience with that security part. Integrating with the DRM along with our solution partners. Yes, of course, we are also done with an AES 128 and as well as 256 key. Yeah, that's it, team. So thanks for your overall observation. So yeah, would like to know, so if there are any other Q&A, the questions from a team. Hello. Hope that I'm audible. Yeah, Anthony. Yeah. Yes, please. Hi, Dilip. Hello. 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 Okay, fine. So yeah, team. So yes, of course. So like to know if there are any other questions. Okay, fine. Sorry. Yeah. More on ABM. Yeah. So please explain more on AV1 and the VP9. So as I mentioned already, right? So the VP9, which is something, it is an, I mean, it has been done with a live VPX-VP9. So it has been encoded with a concept called live VPX. We have been using it. So through that, we could able to achieve that the 4K or 8K transcoding. So so since it has been something backed up by the Google, so previously it is having a kind of a confusion. Like, I mean, when coming to a license side from a transition from VP8 to VP9, so there are some sort of confusion. So as of now, it has been cleared out. You could able to use the VP9. So likewise, that there is an enhanced version from the VP9. It is called as the AV1. So in that AV1, we could able to pull it off that high efficiency video when coming to the resolution format. I mean the resolution side. Yeah, so how to latency we can reduce. Yeah, latency it's all about the bandwidth and the bit rate, right? Say, as I mentioned, so when coming to, I mean, that transcoding process, here we are setting up of the presets, right? In that presets, that the frame rate, what you are going to set up, that it displays a vital role here. So the frame rate and the bit rate, so here we have to set up, and here we have to do optimizations according to the need. So by the way, you could able to do it. And this is a one point. And another point is that latency, in the sense, I guess this is something on the client side, client in the sense player side. So player side, rather than if you're having that, I mean, that 3 to 4, I mean, presets, you could able to go within a 240-1080. So by the way, you could able to, I mean, get almost across all the 6 presets. So whenever the person is having a decent, I mean, bandwidth or decent low bandwidth, obviously the player started to adapt it, even if it is in a low latency. So answering to your question, if it is in a low latency, you could able to, I mean, go with an extra presets and sizable optimization on the bit rate and the frame rate. Yeah. So in OTT, yeah, the factors parameters we can pick to reduce the latency class to class. Yes, of course, yes, it can be done. Yeah, and what is the bitrate resolutions if it is in a 1920? So 1920 cross 1080, the bitrate, it will be something, I mean, mean for 30 to 40 frames, so that you could able to, I mean, set it up here. Yeah. Request to please share the PPT as well as after the session. Yeah, sure, that we will release the PPT. Yeah. Sure, yeah. How can we feed caption in live OTT? Yeah, caption. How can we feed live in the sense? See, the caption, as I mentioned, this is one of that. I mean, format, right? I mean, this is one of the kind of I mean, attributes when coming to that setting up of the pipeline. So here, the transcoding job itself, that we have to mention it, like what with an I mean, the caption, either it is in like a web VTT, or it's either it is an SRT, that we have to put the key in format. And of course that, I mean, that we have to, I mean, do some kind of a customizations in the packages to make it compatible for the live streaming. Yeah, but however it can be done. What will the effect if we change the chunk size? Yeah, change the chunk size in the sense that there are two things are there. And coming to the changing chunk, either how we are going to change the chunk, either you are going to change by means of the duration, or either you are going to change by means of other alternative. If it is the duration, obviously based upon the duration, it is going to play it in a front end. So based upon the chunk, the particular the TS file, that size, it can be different. So say in case if you are, instead of having a 3 to 10 seconds, in case if you are having a 10 to 15 seconds or 10 to 20 seconds, obviously it will take some time in order to load it. But I would suggest go with 3 to 10 seconds. It would be an ideal in order to set up the chunk size actually. Yeah, difference between encoding and transcoding algorithm. Yeah, so encoding and transcoding, as I mentioned already, right? So the encoding is the process that you are going to convert that, I mean, you are going to compress. But when coming to a compress, obviously you have to using that both compress and the decompress algorithm. Say you are going to create one video and you have to make a kind of encoding. So by means of encoding, you are going to reduce the file size. Then obviously it is ready not to make a transmission over the internet. So once it's been done, likely you could able to decompress and you could able to use it. So here that H.264, H.265, VPN, everything comes under the encoding. When coming to a transcoding, this transcoding it is been handling within a encoded video. So in that part, so here you are going to use a kind of that the presets based upon the that the file format. Say in case if it is an HLS, obviously here we are using that M38 along with the TS, and whereas if it is something that is an MP4, you could use that the fragmented MP4. So like this, you could able to generate it. To mitigate or reduce end-to-end latency, as I mentioned already, and the end-to-end latency, it's not only, it's a very broader topic. So when coming to a latency, that there are so many things it is going to affect. So in a straightforward approach, the latency, which is something, if the particular device, it's not enough in order to download the chunk, the particular chunk in order to play it. So at this point, we'll have a kind of a latency. As I mentioned, through optimizing the bit rate and that the frame rate, you could able to achieve it. Parameters and since, sorry, so I'm not sure about what's the parameter that you are mentioning here. How the latency is achieved is, I mentioned already about that. The latency is there any way to check quality of video OTT, video in the OTT in the platform. So check the video quality in the sense, either you just want to make that quality of video in the OTT. Quality of video in the sense, obviously you could able to check based upon that the renditions actually. Say for example, actually that there are certain algorithms are there in order to check out that what would be that the entire output. Say when coming to the transcoding or encoding, it is a kind of a lossless lossy format. When coming to lossless loss in the sense, you are going to trying to reduce the size by means of removing the unwanted frame. Obviously that there will be a certain degrade. It's not about degrade, that there is a kind of a small degrade will be available in that quality, but it won't hamper that overall that that viewer experience. So in that way, if you are going to do that, obviously that there are certain algorithms, it will just detect about that this the quality of the output, what it is being coming from that the transcoded engine. So by the way, we could able to check it. Yeah. Yes, of course. As I mentioned already, if it is something, if you're going for this kind of a marriage or this any kind of that function, that if you're going to capture that live streaming events, you could able to achieve it with this H.265 format. Yeah, both H.264 and the 265. How the error connection in the sense, see what is that error connection, where the error it is happening. Either it is happening on the transcoding side, or either it is happening on that out of the transcoding. So if you ask me overall the error correction, I would say I can just assuming that this question, which is something related to a transcoding side, in this error correction, which we have been handling a kind of exception handling that we have been inbuilt, that we are having the exception handling through that the particular correction. Either the correction will be something on the color side. If basically here we have been using the YUV format. So if it is a color corrections, it is being handled, and which way if it is in a frame base or something else, that is also it's been handled in an as of now. Is it possible to scale up low bitrate to high bitrate for ABR from? Yes, it can be achievable. Yeah, we have an ID HTTP post web VTT OP for 47C2687. Sorry, Dilip. So I'm not sure about this particular question. Any idea about add insertion? Yes, of course. Yeah, as I mentioned, right? Say when coming to a transcoding, the core part is that you have to mention what is the input, what is the output, and what is the duration, and what is the file format it is going to be achieved. That is one factor. Second factor is that additional layer. In that additional layer, you have to fetch that ads from an ad server. When coming to the ad, actually, that there are so many things. Even if you want, we can have a separate discussion on this, the ad, the A1. When coming to that ad, it is something like kind of a VAPT, video ad serving template, which is something it has to be coined with that, the overall, all the OTT platforms. So likely this is something that you are expecting, that the ads, it has to be streaming from the ad server, that particular inputs, that the particular API or its particular, if it's a Google vast ad, obviously we have to integrate the Google vast ad into this particular package. So by the way, we could able to do this one factor. Either if it is something on that, I mean your own ad, yes, of course it is also, it has to be streaming from the ad server. And here we have to mention what would be the duration. Basically, I'll explain from, I mean, from our side how we have been doing. Actually, we are more into what streaming. That what streaming how we are doing in the sense. So here we have been capturing the overall durations. In that overall duration, here we are allowing our admin users in order to set it up what would be the ideal, I mean, places. Say when coming to an ad, it is a kind of like a pre-roll, mid-roll, and post-roll. When coming to a mid-roll, you could able to set up what is the ideal duration where you could able to pitch it off this particular ads. I mean, you can able to insert it. So for that, you could able to, I mean, this is something, it is also supported from a player as well. So it is something you could able to make it as a kind of a bundle, and you can able to, I mean, play it. I mean, you could able to transcode it. Yes, of course, that ad, yes, that ad insertion on server side. Server side, as I mentioned, I mean, first of all, we have to sign up with, I mean, as we have been treating as a publisher as of now. Okay, you have to go with an advertiser. First of all, you have to sign up. From the sign up, we could able to pull it off. For streaming same file in HD or SD, we have to create different pieces, HD and another for SD. Yes, of course, it can be done. You could able to set up, say, like 240, 460, and that up to 720, you can just consider as an SD. And apart from that, you can make it as an HD. You can just put all these things in a single file, I mean, single presets to make it, rather than going for two different presets. Different between the CAS and DRM. So I'm sure about DRM. I'm not, I mean, see what is that CAS, sorry. So DRM, it's all about the digital, I mean, the rights, I mean, the digital rights management. So this is something comes under the security part actually. How about the ad insertion solution we provide during the live and WOD content. WOD content, I explained it already. Yeah. Types of encoding, like file-based encoding. Yeah. Yes, of course. Yeah. File-based encoding. This file-based encoding, which is something like, you know, see, even in my diagram itself, I just mentioned the uploaded file. If it is something from a WOD, you can go within a multi-part upload. When coming to the multi-part upload, by the way, you could able to upload it by frame, so that there is a opportunity in order to do a encoding for each and every multi-part file it is being uploaded. So how can I get more info about the transcoding and optimum time for better delivery? So better you can just yeah, Vijesh, you could able to contact our, I mean, our support team, so that you could able to get more information on the transcoding part. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, see, yes, of course, that there is still that would be a kind of a conflict between the DTH and the OTT platform. But you know, when coming to that, I mean, the faster in the sense, see, you know very well, right? See, we people, we have to, I mean, that's something that at one point that we have to accept it. By latest, we have been that. T20 matches it has been broadcasted. Even in my, I mean, I'm just seeing that the same sport event in that Hotstar, as well as in that in my in my smart TV. Obviously, that there will be a kind of a latency to be applicable when coming to that the streaming from the OTT. But still, you know, when coming to the quality and when coming to the playback, which is something important when coming to the OTT side. So these are things that you can put as a kind of a feature. And in case if you just want to make, I mean, the changes in that the language, multi-language, if it is offer, you could able to change it even if it is a sports on the live. And obviously you could able to do a playback, and you could able to pull it up the certain particular, I mean, even if it is a live, you could go and you can go to the specific I mean duration, and you could able to rerun again, and you can able to do it. But when coming to that DTH, these are things that it is having a certain limitation, which is something on that user side. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Dilip. Yeah, yes, of course. This is something. It is an important topic when coming to ad insertion. So sure, it would demand a kind of another hour in order to go for it for an ad insertion. Yeah. Which one transcoding is best, AWS or Bitmoon or Google Transcoder? Yeah. See, even while mentioning about, I mean, that the transcoding capacity and as well as the scalability, as I mentioned, right? See, we have to decide which one. I mean, what is our ultimate? I mean, ultimate output, and what are the audience that we are going to reach, and what is that video format that we are going to play. So based on that we have to do it. And apart from that, there are pricing is there. Coming to my personal, our experience, I would say AWS media converter, which is something fair enough, and it has been proven already. As of course, Google Transport also we have been done with a couple of clients. We don't have any other major complaints so far, but I'm not sure about the Bitmovin. But as for Bitmovin, that they are, according to their blog, according to the statement, they are mentioning like, so Bitmovin transcoding, which is something fair enough when coming to a performance for an AWS, but still that particular topic that I just want to do again for more R&D. Yeah. What is the just-in-time package? JIT, how does it work in live? Okay, just-in-time, it's a name itself, it would suggest like just-in-time. Just-in-time in the sense, so the particular streaming, so rather than just it's been converted, it is been stored in that, storage. Rather, it will just coming, the particular package is coming as a live streaming from a transcoding. Yeah. What is manifest manipulation? Manifest manipulation in the sense, yes, just few minutes before we have just seen about the manifest file, right? In that manifest file, we could able to see what are the presets. According to the presets, it is showing that the set bandwidth along with that of that, bandwidth range, and that whether it is a, what is that, codec it is being performed for an audio and the video and everything. Yes, it's there. So in case if you want to change something, yes, you could able to do it. How to differentiate WOD and live content? Yeah, see, WOD and live content, it's all about based upon the source itself. We could able to do a differentiation, maybe. Yeah, any questions, team? Hello. Yeah. So can I reach to you? So you could able to reach me via the LinkedIn, and as well as I'll just drop that, support email. Uh, okay. Just hang on. Yeah, I'll get that support email idea just for a minute. To the live streaming, how much delay got to the end user? See, how much got to the end user? See, delays, as I mentioned, it's not only this is something that it is, due to that, particular one of the component. So delay, it's been happening based upon what is the type of component, what is the kind of hardware it is something backed up begin that particular component, and those things it is going to, influence when coming to a delay. So yeah, but that will be a kind of that reasonable delay it would be there when coming to a live streaming. But as I mentioned, yes, of course, that infrastructure and as well as the software what it is being used, everything is going to influence the overall that delay. Yeah. So audio also transcoded. Yes, of course, audio also can be able to transcode it. Yes, of course, yeah, we have done it. In conventional broadcasting, we make use of the cube trans of determining its duration. What techniques being used in OTT for knowing the exact duration? The exact duration, actually, that there is, if you look at that, the manifest file itself, that there will be certain params are there. I just, mentioned, read out something else while showing a demo. So it will having a kind of a EST version, and that it is having that, what would be the duration? So through that, you could able to, able to calculate the overall the summit up of that the overall the chunks you could able to get that the durations. Media, yeah, please provide your mail id. Yeah, so you can reach me out here. So just hang on, we'll just get our support mail id. Please share any video. Any video in the sense? Yeah, okay. So please use this in order to reach out for any queries. I see the bd@contus.in. This is something you could able to reach out at any point of time. So there that there we are having the dedicated team. So they will be redirecting to a concerned person for any queries. Of course, the audio also, yeah, already mentioned, right? So audio, yes, also you could be able to transcode, like as like what you can able to do for a video. Kapil, yeah. Yes, of course, yeah. CDN is required for live streaming. Yes, of course. So see, why we need a CDN? That is also a question. It's not only for live streaming. Even if it is in a watch streaming, you could have just used the CDN. That CDN, it is going to create an advantage when it is coming to the distribution of the video. So obviously, you know, right, when coming to a CDN, we could able to create the edges. Based upon the edges, you could able to share the you can able to broadcast the content. So by the way, there will be, you can able to reduce the overall latency, and it is going to increase the overall the end user experience. So by the way, even if there are more traffic, you could able to make the sizable traffic that it can be, routed into a specific edges. Yeah. Fine. So thanks, Tim. Yeah. So hope that I just answered almost all the questions. So some of the questions, it's still, even I know actually that the few areas that you guys have, make me to, turn back and to just look into it. So thanks for that. So yes, of course. So when coming to the learning, it's all about, it's a kind of a continuous process. So yeah. So few of the questions that I just, we'll just check, and you can just contact me through a LinkedIn and something else. I could able to, give you a very detailed explanation rather than this briefing statement. Yeah, fine. So thanks for everyone. So thanks for joining, team. Yeah. So that's it from my side. Thank you. Yeah. Catch you then.